Then sadly in 1735, James Franklin, Benjamin's older brother, died, and so he sent his widow 500 copies of the Poor Richard's Almanac for free for her to sell and make money off of. And another sad thing was that his son, Francis or Frankie Folger, died at the age of 4 of smallpox. But around the same time, Franklin organized the Fire Union Company, which now means that Franklin attended the meetings of the library, the Masonic Lodge, the Junto, and now the Fire Company. So he was a very busy man. If he wasn't working, he was meeting with people. And then in 1737, he became the postmaster of Philadelphia. And it just seems like year after year, he was doing very, very impressive things. But now he took a couple years break of doing crazy impressive things from 1737 to 1741, and then he made the Franklin stove. The Franklin stove was a metal-lined fireplace, and it had a hollow baffle which was used to actually transfer more heat into the room. The Franklin stove relied on an inverse siphon to bring in more air to create more heat. And then later on, a man named David Rittenhouse would actually make improvements to the Franklin stove. Which, first of all, I love fireplaces. And I'm sure you do too, because it makes a room feel more alive with a fireplace. It's like, if you have a nice room that's not too dark and not too bright, it's just really nice. You have a fire going, you have some books around you. It makes a room so much more alive. But it's also impressive that he could actually think of these things to make a fireplace more efficient. Then what do you know? Not too long after that, he did another impressive thing, founding the American Philosophical Society. And a year before he did that, in 1743, he came out with a proposal for promoting useful knowledge, which was the founding document of the American Philosophical Society. And another good thing was that in this same year, his daughter Sally was born. Again, it's just so impressive and amazing what Benjamin Franklin did, because 2 years later, in 1744, he would begin his electrical experiments. And then in 1752 is when he did his famous kite experiment. Now, his kite was actually not struck by lightning. If it was, he probably would have been electrocuted. But instead, he designed his kite to pick up an ambient electrical charge from the storm. Franklin conducted a simple kite and attached a wire to the top of it to act as a lightning rod. To the bottom of the kite, he attached a hemp string, and to that he attached a silk string. Why both? Well, the hemp wetted by the rain would conduct an electrical charge quickly, and the silk string kept dry as it was held by Franklin in the doorway of a shed, wouldn't. The last piece of the puzzle was a metal key. Franklin attached it to a hemp string, and with his son's help got the kite aloft. Then they waited. Just as he was beginning to despair, Franklin noticed loose ends of the hemp string standing erect. Franklin moved his finger near the key, and as the negative charges in the metal piece were attracted to the positive charge in his hand, he felt a spark. Using a Leyden jar, he collected the electric fire very copiously, and the electricity could be discharged at a later time. And another interesting thing is that this same experiment was done by 2 other men around the same time. One of them was in France, and then another man who tried to do it was actually struck by lightning. It was ball lightning, which is a very, very rare phenomenon, and he was killed by this. And later on, this would lead to Franklin actually coming up with the lightning rod. And in 1753, he received the prestigious Copley Medal from the Royal Society in recognition of his curious experiments and observations on electricity. Then in 1747, Franklin wrote The Plain Truth, which was designed to get Pennsylvania to form a militia and defend itself from the French, Spanish, and Indians. And this would lead to him making the political cartoon Join or Die. Then in 1748, he became a soldier in the Pennsylvania militia, but he turned down the commission of becoming a colonel, and he said this was due to military inexperience, which I like because most people would have jumped at immediately becoming a colonel, but I like how he had all great men have, which is this sense of, no, I don't need to be something I'm not, and I can get to that point if I need to be or want to be, but I don't have that experience, so I'm going to start from the bottom. And around the same time, he became an agent for the colonies. And wouldn't you know, he does yet another impressive thing. He charts the Gulf Stream. Now, while he was going to London, he always wondered why the trip to London was so much faster than the trip back to London. This would lead him to map the Gulf Stream. And he invented the glass harmonica, which is actually beautiful to listen to. So I'll just let you watch this quick video. Then jumping ahead to 1783 to 84, he signed the peace treaty between the colonies and the British and France. And this was because in 1781, after the Battle of Yorktown, the British finally decided, well, these people aren't going to give up, so we might as well just come up with a peace treaty. And then the British granted land and freedom to the colonies. But within this, in North America, Spain actually received Florida, which it had lost in the 7 Years' War, or the French-Indian War. And the reason why we were able to gain back so much land was through Jay's Treaty, the Treaty of San Lorenzo, the Convention of 1818, and the Webster-Ashburton Treaty. And in 1787, Franklin signs the United States Constitution, and in 1789, he writes a anti-slavery treatise. So even though he did have slaves previously in his life, he decided that, frankly, it was wrong and it did not represent the values of Americans or America. And he became a president for a society arguing for the abolition of slavery. And in 1790, on April 17th, he died in Philadelphia at the age of 84, which is pretty old for that time. So what makes Franklin a great man? Well, I think it's his industriousness. He was constantly at work. I mean, when he would work with people or work for people, they always would talk about how they would leave, go do something, they would come back and find him working. Even late at night, he would be working. He was a very industrious person, and clearly very inventive. And even though he did have problems with women, he still had a very solid constitution. And to have a constitution in general, a moral code, is impressive in the first place. But to keep that up, at least as much as you can, throughout your life is also very impressive. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe, turn notifications on, and share this video. That is, if you like it. I also have an email list that you can sign up to for free, and every week I'll send you a small summary of a great man from the past, and I'll send you an email anytime I upload a video like this. But thank you guys very much, and I'll see you guys next time.